Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So I wanted to begin this lecture looking at the glories of devotional service. That's going to factor in with the speaking about today. So we'll be speaking about Srimati Sita Thakurani, as it was her appearance. And then we'll also be talking about Aditi, the mother of Vamanadev. So because this is these 2 days, today and tomorrow, Vaman Dwadasi, celebrate the appearance of Lord Vamanadev, I thought that I would speak about these two wonderful personalities, and we can see what we learn from them and how we imbibe the lessons from their lives and bring them into our hearts as permanent histories that we can take with us. So in the 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Kapila Dev speaks about the glories of devotional service. And he speaks to his mother, Devahuti. He says, in the association of pure devotees, discussion of the pastimes and activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very pleasing and satisfying to the ear and to the heart. By cultivating such knowledge, one gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation, and thereafter he is freed and his attraction becomes fixed. Then real devotion and devotional service can begin. Thus, consciously engaged in devotional service in the association of devotees, a person gains distaste for sense gratification, both in this world and in the next, by constantly thinking about the activities of the Lord. This process of Krishna consciousness is the easiest process of mystic power. When one is actually situated on that path of devotional service, he is able to control the mind. Thus, by not engaging in the service of the modes of material nature, but by developing Krishna consciousness, knowledge and renunciation, and by practicing yoga, in which the mind is always fixed in devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one achieves my association in this very life, for I am the Supreme Personality, the Absolute Truth. So there we have just a little bit of a blueprint for devotional service. And what I really love is that Lord Kapila Dev describes it as the most amazing mystic process. We are mystics, which, really sounds very, very fancy. But I like it because it sounds fancy. It makes me feel like I'm doing something. And that brings me to another point. I always have to make myself feel as though I'm doing something important. And I was reflecting yesterday about the times when I did not give my devotional service the importance that it deserved. And what I mean by that is not, I understand that you have to be on time for your devotional service. All of those things are very important. But my daily life, who I am, what I do, sometimes before, if someone were to ask me, oh, what did you do? I would say, I'm just a mom. And I started to think about that statement, just a mom. But really, this is a devotional service, raising a Krishna conscious child. It's a devotional service which is wide ranging. It's so broad. In fact, today we'll be talking about mothers in general, so many of them, right? So just a mom, just. Our devotional service is never just anything. It is everything. It is our identity. Devotional service follows us wherever we go. It is said with Haridas Thakur and with Madhavendra Puri and with so many different devotees, they would run away from fame and prestige, but the fame of their devotional service would follow them like a shadow. Krishna would send them fame, opulence through that devotional service. He would make his mercy known through their devotion. So our service, our very lives, that we serve each other, that we give in service to Sri Krishna, to our spiritual teachers. It's never just service. It doesn't matter if you are a window washer, or if you clean the floor, or if your job is just to pick flowers, or string garlands, or just to cook. It's never just anything. This devotional service is sought after by so many personalities, both exalted, right? The demigods, who are exalted personalities, and the regular personalities. But really, if we think about it in terms of the soul, because Krishna is seated there, just beside each soul, everyone is exalted. So these devotional services, which become our identities, which we give our lives to, never just anything. We have to make sure that we are careful to remember to give our devotional service the importance, the priority that it deserves. So from Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, just before we come to describing the glorious personality that is Srimati Sita Thakurani, I just wanted to reflect on a passage from Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat about Lord Chaitanya chanting his japa, his rounds. Vrindavan Das Thakur writes, when he chanted his rounds upon his beads while walking, someone would carry a Tulsi pot in front so that he would have continual darshan of Tulsi Devi. When Lord Chaitanya sat down to chant, someone would, all through his chanting of prescribed rounds, he would have darshan of Tulsi Devi. When the Lord finished his prescribed chanting, he would have the Tulsi pot carried in front of him again. Those sincere souls who take to heart the guidance of the Supreme Lord as the supreme instructing spiritual master will always be protected under all circumstances. So this just goes to show, number one, how much importance Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave to Tulsi Devi. Tulsi Devi's service never stopped. As we know, Tulsi Devi is an expansion of Vrinda Devi herself, the facilitator of all of Vrindavan Dham. She facilitates all of Krishna's pastimes, all of his meetings. It is said that she can even understand the mind of Shri Krishna. Sometimes in so many different pastimes, Krishna will deliver a message, but through Vrinda Devi. She has a network of messengers, of parrots, right? This is the original Twitter. She has this network of parrots. Her service is far reaching, ever extending, but it doesn't just stop in the divine realm of Goloka Vrindavan. She descends mercifully so that we can all have the opportunity of having her darshan and serving her as Srimati Tulsi Devi. Some might think she's just a plant. But no, she is a desire-fulfilling, wish-fulfilling plant of mystical, spiritual properties. She is always giving blessings. She is always watching over our devotion. She is the abode of bhakti. She helps us grow in our devotion. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave her such importance that he wanted to have continual darshan of her as he chanted his rounds, as he did his japa meditation. But not only was Tulsi Devi's service so important, but can you imagine being the devotee who would just carry the Tulsi pot in front of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu so that he could have this darshan? These devotees are immortalized within the pages of Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat by Sri Vrindavan Das Thakur. Imagine just a small service. Most of us would think that's a small service, just carrying the Tulsi pot or placing the Tulsi pot next to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But this was integral to his japa meditation. So it was not just a service. It was the service. So important. So we can look at our lives and remember that no matter what service we are performing, whether we think it is big or small, this service is invaluable to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this little service, whatever it is, can actually award us all perfection in life if we put our hearts into it, if we follow through with all our hearts. So let's see the different services that Srimati Sita Thakurani would perform. Sita Thakurani is the wife of Advaita Acarya. And as the wife of Advaita Acarya had lovingly, fervently, determinedly called out for the Lord to make his appearance. Seeing that the problem within Kali Yuga was quite dire, he called again and again and again, worshiping his shalagram with Ganges water and tulsi leaves, continuously praying with all of his heart that the Lord would make his appearance and save all of the fallen conditioned souls who had somehow forgotten the glories of the very devotional service that we're speaking about today. So Sita Thakurani is Advaita Acharya's wife. And when Sachimata, the mother of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, was in labor, Srimati Sita Thakurani journeyed there. So along with Sita Thakurani, there was Malini, the wife of Srivas Acharya. And the two of them, they were like midwives. They coached Sachi Devi through the labor in order to bring Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu into the world. How magnificent. You know, someone might think, oh, just a midwife, just a doula, but imagine performing that kind of service in order to bring the supreme soul into the world. This is no small service. This service becomes immortal. So we can see once again how no service is too small for Krishna to recognize and be forever, eternally grateful for. So when the child was born, it is said that she brought all kinds of ornaments. So many of our literatures, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has described the birth celebration at the house of Jagannath Mishra upon the advent of the Lord. And he gives special attention to the position of Sri Sita Thakurani. On the eve of his son's advent, Sri Jagannath Mishra, seeing the imminent signs of his child's arrival, sent word to Advaita Acharya in Shantipur that the long-awaited child was being born. Hearing news of the advent of this unprecedented child, Advaita Acharya floated in the waves of ecstasy. With Sri Haridas Thakur, he went to bathe in the river, and after much dancing and song, he sent his wife to go quickly to Mayapur in Navadvip Dham. It's described that Sri Sita Thakurani is Yogamaya. And in some cases, she's also said to be Purnamasi, the great guru of the gopis and the guru of the loving pastimes of Shri Radha Govinda. So at the time of Krishna's appearance, the original Janmashtami, Purnamasi was also present, also coaching Yashoda Mai in how to care for the child and how to birth the child, all of these different things. So this is not just a mundane activity. You know, we have so many activities that we think of as Krishna conscious and then other, right? We make these distinctions. I have a job, and that job is material. But then I have service, and that is Krishna conscious. But no, our lives can be made Krishna conscious. So no matter what it is that we're doing, no matter what work we find ourselves in, we can always realize the value and realize that this can be made Krishna conscious. All it takes is a change of mindset. So if there are any doulas or if there are any midwives, know that your jobs are really a service. Coming to different personalities when they're at their most vulnerable state. Coaching them through these moments of surrender. Offering assistance in order to help new souls enter these lives filled with spiritual potential. This is the importance of the position of Sita Thakurani. Importance of personalities like Malini Devi. So sometimes we think, oh, but you know, do the ladies get so much importance? But if we stop to think about it, it is so important. Right? Sachimata she's already had several children and they had died. She had Vishwarup and finally he had survived. Now she's having little Nimai. And of course she knows, right? Of course she knows what to do. The body's going to know what to do. But at this moment, I can only imagine that she's not just thinking about this child, but so many of her other children. What will be the fate of this child? All of these thoughts go through your head. But she has Sita Thakurani, she has Malini, she has these two personalities to coach her through, to give her the courage, the fortitude, the forbearance, the strength to do the necessary, to do the ultimate service of becoming the mother to the maintainer of the universe. So when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was born, Sita Devi, after she goes to see that topmost child, and she brings all kinds of gifts and presents. She brought different kinds of golden ornaments, including bangles for the hands, armlets, necklaces, and anklets. There were also tiger nails set in gold, waist decorations of silk and lace, ornaments for the hands and legs, nicely printed silken saris, and a child's garment, also made of silk. There were many other riches, including gold and silver coins, that were presented for the child. Riding in a palanquin covered with cloth and accompanied by maidservants, Sita Thakurani came to the house of Jagannath Mishra, bringing with her many auspicious articles such as fresh grass, paddy, gorochan, turmeric, kumkum, and sandalwood. All these presentations filled a big basket. When Sita Thakurani came to the house of Shachi Devi, bringing with her many kinds of eatables, dresses, and other gifts, she was astonished to see the newly born child, for she appreciated that except for a difference in color, the child was directly Krishna himself. It is actually Sita Thakurani who looks at beautiful, beautiful little Gora. And she names him Nimai, born under a neem tree, her heart melting with maternal affection. She blesses the child. She holds the child. And she says, may you be blessed with a long life. And then because neem trees are also supposed to give protection against ghosts and witches, all kinds of things, she also names him Nimai, hoping to grant him a long life that some of the other children of Sachi Devi did not have. So on that day, mother and son both took bath. They have a customary bathing after the whole ordeal of a birth. And then they left the maternity room. And Sita Thakurani gave them all the ornaments and gifts that she had brought. And she also honored Jagannath Mishra. And then Srimati Thakurani was also being honored by Sachi Devi and Jagannath Mishra. From that day on, Sita Thakurani would often come to Mayapur from Shantipur in order to teach Sachi Mata how to care for the newborn baby. So she would assist Sachi Devi in caring for little Nimai, the abode of the universe. And she would give different instructions. She herself had several children. And when it came time for the child's birthday ceremony, Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Devi let Sita Thakurani be the first to offer the child his new clothes. So they gave her such an honorable position. She became like, a grand aunt. And it is said that Nimai would often address Sita Thakurani as mother. Can we imagine a greater fortune? This is what awaits us if we don't think that, this service is just small, or this service is very big and opulent. Look at that. It's very honorable. We can understand that every single service has the ability to bring perfection. Every single service is perfect and complete. Every single service is honorable. Every single service is worshipable. Whether we find ourselves just assisting in making an outfit for the deities, if there's a flower dress, if we've put just one flower, this is honorable, worshipable, and worthy of respect. This is a service which has made our lives sublime. We have 9 processes of devotional service, of which just remembering is one. See, just remember. And that just is there to indicate that it is so simple. It is so simple. If only we remember Krishna, this is devotional service, and that devotional service can grant us all mystic abilities, all spiritual perfection, everything that the heart could possibly wish for. So no matter if we think we are in an assembly of devotees, or we are home alone, we are isolated, or we are near a temple, we have the ability to perform devotional service. And we have the ability to perform the highest devotional service, because every service is the highest devotional service. Krishna does not look at a service and say, but that was too small. Krishna looks at any service and says, I am so grateful. Look at what my devotee is doing to please me. I am so grateful. I'm running to that place. Krishna becomes so addicted to that devotional service. And the more that we put our heart and soul into it, the more Krishna feels, let me run there. Let me accept that service over and over and over again. To be immortalized in the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just for holding the pot of Tulsi Devi. Imagine how grateful Mahaprabhu was to those devotees. Imagine how Mahaprabhu would shower his countless blessings on those devotees. This devotional service can change our lives. So Sita Thakurani would often be charged with the task of cooking for so many programs that Mahaprabhu would have. And he would specifically call on her. Oh Sita Devi, oh mother, please, will you cook for this program? Will you cook for this program? After the meeting of Sri Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, the first meeting, they have a wonderful kirtan, the likes of which no one has ever seen. They had been searching for each other for so long. And then the next day they celebrate Vyasa Puja. And Sita Thakurani is asked to cook along with Malini, the wife of Srivas. So we should not think, oh, they're just cooking, just feeding. This service is so high. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met his own spiritual master, Ishwarapuri, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one of the first things he did was to cook for his spiritual master with his own hands. He would cook great quantities of rice and feed his spiritual master. Imagine having a meal cooked by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Lord is filled with unparalleled sweetness. Imagine when he infuses a meal with that kind of sweetness. Lord Gaura Chandra, who is none other than Radha Krishna combined, Srimati Radharani would never cook the same thing twice. And now all of her potency is invested within Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he will cook for his spiritual master as a means of performing some kind of service of love for his spiritual teacher. So if we find ourselves, if we are good cooks, we should never say just a cook, because this can be the foundation of loving devotional service, which takes us all the way to spiritual perfection. So Sita Thakurani would cook so many times, and there was one very special pastime from Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat that I also wanted to relate in this regard. So this is when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was living in Jagannath Puri. He would take darshan of Lord Jagannath, and so many days he would often have lunch at the place where Advaita Acharya and Sita Thakurani were staying. Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat says, one day, Advaita Acharya approached the Lord and said, "Kindly come to my house and accept whatever little I have cooked. In this way, I will be blessed by your presence." Shri Krishna Chaitanya replied, "My dear Acharya, your cooking gives me life because Lord Krishna himself accepts your offerings. I would never refuse to accept food that has been cooked by you." And of course, now we know it's not just Advaita Acharya, right? It's Sita Thakurani who's also cooking these meals. So she is also immortalized. Overjoyed, Advaita Acharya ran home and along with his wife began preparations for Lord Chaitanya's lunch. Sita Devi unpacked all Lord Chaitanya's favorite food that had been brought from Navadvip and gave it to her husband. Advaita Acharya then sat down to cook, enthroning Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu within his heart. Sita Devi supplied him with all the vegetables, spices, and other ingredients. So this is a couple's cooking session, which is so sweet. Advaita Acharya serves along with his wife. How wonderful. Knowing how the Lord relishes shak, spinach, she handed 10 varieties to her husband. Must make sure the Lord tastes each and every preparation. However, if he comes with other sannyasis, I know that he will not do so. They always like to sit with the Lord when he eats because they so greatly relish his association. After saying this, Advaita Acharya thought, if somehow the situation arises that the Lord comes alone, I can feed him according to my desire. How can this be arranged? While cooking, Advaita Acharya was having such thoughts. Meanwhile, having finished his prescribed chanting on beads, Lord Chaitanya prepared to perform his noonday rituals, as did the other sannyasis. As each departed in separate directions, a powerful storm suddenly arose, along with torrential rain by the will of King Indra. Dense clouds created near darkness, and then there was a hailstorm. Miraculously, where Advaita Acharya was living, the storm was mild. But the sannyasis who were to accompany the Lord became lost in the clouds of dust and darkness, and thus could not meet one another. Undisturbed, Advaita Acharya cooked a very elaborate feast. After placing tulsi manjaris on every preparation, he sat down to make the offering. Advaita Acharya entered deeply into meditation for the purpose of attracting Lord Chaitanya to come alone. Having decided to fulfill Advaita Acharya's wish, the Lord appeared before him chanting, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. After offering obeisances at Lord Chaitanya's lotus feet, Advaita Acharya offered him a mat to sit upon. The Lord happily sat down. Noticing that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was not accompanied by anyone, Advaita Acharya felt extremely pleased. Together with his wife, Advaita Acharya washed the Lord's lotus feet. Next, he offered sandalwood paste. And finally, after fanning the Lord for a while, Advaita Acharya requested him to sit down for lunch. Lord Chaitanya sat down, and Advaita Acharya personally served him. He put every preparation on the Lord's plate with great care. Lord Chaitanya ate everything with great pleasure, but was careful to leave a little of each preparation. The Lord smilingly asked, "Do you know why I'm keeping these remnants? I want to find out how each dish was prepared. Tell me, how did you learn to be such an expert cook? I have never before eaten such wonderful spinach preparations in such variety." Whatever Advaita Acharya served, Lord Chaitanya ate with great satisfaction. The Lord is like a wish-fulfilling tree that fulfills all desires of the devotees. Advaita Acharya fed the Lord to his heart's content, and the Lord relished the food to his heart's content. As the Lord ate, Advaita Acharya offered prayers and gratitude to King Indra. "Today I have become convinced that you are a true Vaisnava. From today onwards, I will offer you flowers and water, for you have purchased me." Overhearing this, the Lord inquired, "You are suddenly offering prayers to King Indra? What is the reason for this?" Advaita Acharya replied, "My Lord, please continue eating. This is of no concern for you." Chaitanya knowingly smiled and said, "Why are you hiding something, my dear Acharya? This sudden, unseasonable rainstorm is all your doing. I know this to be a fact. You made Indra unleash torrents of rain so that no one could accompany me. You created this chaos just so that you could feed me to your full satisfaction. That Indra carried out your orders does not reveal the true extent of your glories. Truly, it is Indra's great fortune that he was able to serve you. For you, whose every wish Lord Krishna fulfills, and who caused the Supreme Lord to appear upon the earth to orchestrate such a rainstorm, was certainly child's play. Practically speaking, no one knows your real identity and prowess." Advaita Acharya said, "My dear Lord, whatever strength I possess is simply due to my devotion for you. Thus I pray for the benediction that you will never leave me at any time." As the two conversed, Lord Chaitanya finished eating, and thereafter he returned home. So the service of Advaita Acharya and Srimati Sita Thakurani is nothing small. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, It's no wonder Indra is going to serve you. You have the utmost devotion. You have called the Supreme Lord." And Advaita Acharya says, "This is nothing but my devotion for you. There's no higher power, nothing higher than that. So we should know that there is nothing higher than our devotional service, whatever it may be, however we are able to dovetail it. Our beautiful Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer and give away, whatever austerities you perform, whatever charity you give, do that as a service unto me. Do that as an offering unto me. It becomes devotional service, and it turns our entire lives around. It is a wish-fulfilling tree. Devotional service can give us everything that the heart is yearning for, and even more. In fact, the great mother of Vamana, the mother of all the demigods, Aditi, she also was able to perform such devotional service and please the Lord. So I wanted to read about how she pleased the Lord, her prayers to the Lord, and how the Lord spoke to her from the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So we hear that Shukadev Goswami speaks to Maharaj Parikshit that Aditi was advised by her husband Kashyapa Muni to follow a vow called Payovrata with full undiverted attention. Aditi thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and in this way brought under full control her mind and senses, which resembled forceful horses. She concentrated her mind upon the Supreme Lord Vasudeva. Thus, she performed the ritualistic ceremony known as Payovrat. My dear king, the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, dressed in yellow garments and bearing a conch shell, disc, club, and lotus in his 4 hands, then appeared before Aditi. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead became visible to Aditi's eyes, Aditi was so overwhelmed by transcendental bliss that she at once stood up and then fell to the ground like a rod to offer the Lord her respectful obeisances. So she performed a fast, tapasya. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer, give away, whatever charity you perform, whatever tapasya you observe, do that. So even if we find ourselves fasting on Ekadashi, this is devotional service. And look, this fasting called and attracted the Supreme Personality of Godhead like nothing else. So as we find ourselves observing our Ekadashi fast, we can think about Aditi, we can think about Vaman Dev, we can think about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we can think about Sachi Devi, we can think about Srimati Sita Thakurani and Malini Devi, all of these people, anytime we've been waiting for the advent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? Especially on a day like this where we're fasting for Vamana Dev, for Vaman Dwadasi. We can think about the anticipation of fasting with joy, with affection, thinking, oh, my Lord will appear. And every appearance day of the Lord is a chance to have him appear within the core of our hearts. It's a chance for him to appear within our lives and to take up a prominent position in our lives. So Aditi stood silently with folded hands, unable to offer prayers to the Lord. Because of transcendental bliss, tears filled her eyes, and the hairs on her body stood on end. Because she could see the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face, she felt ecstasy and her body trembled. Oh, Maharaj Parikshit, the demigoddess Aditi then began offering her prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead in a faltering voice and with great love. She appeared as though drinking through her eyes the Supreme Lord, who is the husband of the goddess of fortune, the enjoyer of all sacrificial ceremonies, and the master and Lord of the entire universe. So we get our sustenance today. We can drink through the eyes the form of the Supreme Lord as he appears through his activities and qualities, as we even hear about him. The goddess Aditi said, O master and enjoyer of all sacrificial ceremonies, O infallible and most famous person, whose name, when chanted, spreads all good fortune, O original Supreme Personality of Godhead, Supreme Controller, shelter of all holy places, you are the shelter of all poor, suffering living entities, and you have appeared to diminish their suffering. Please be kind to us and spread our good fortune. My Lord, you are the all-pervading universal form, the fully independent creator, maintainer, and destroyer of the universe. Although you engage your energy in matter, you are always situated in your original form and never fall from that position. For your knowledge is infallible and always suitable to any situation. You are never bewildered by any illusion. O my Lord, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto you. O unlimited one, If your lordship is satisfied, one can very easily obtain a lifetime as long as that of Lord Brahma, a body either in the upper, lower, or middle planetary systems, unlimited material opulence, religion, economic development, and satisfaction of the senses, full transcendental knowledge, and the 8 yogic perfections. What to speak of such petty achievements as conquering one's rivals? Shukadev Goswami said, O King Parikshit, best of the Bharat dynasty, when the lotus-eyed Lord, the super soul of all living entities, was thus worshipped by Aditi, he replied as follows. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O Mother of the demigods, I have already understood your long cherished desires for the welfare of your sons, who have been deprived of all opulences and driven from their residence by their enemies. O Devi, O Goddess, I can understand that you want to regain your sons and be together with them to worship me after defeating the enemies in battle and retrieving your abode in opulences. You want to see the wives of the demons lamenting for the death of their husbands when those demons, the enemies of your sons, are killed in battle by the demigods, of whom Indra is the chief. You want your sons to regain their lost reputation and opulence and live again on their heavenly planet as usual. O Mother of the demigods, in my opinion, almost all of the chiefs of the demons are now unconquerable, for they are being protected by Brahmanas, whom the Supreme Lord always favors. Thus, the use of power against them now will not at all be a source of happiness. Yet, because I have been satisfied by the activities of your vow, O Goddess Aditi, I must find some means to favor you, for worship of me never goes in vain, but certainly gives the desired result according to what one deserves. This is such a line that I want to remember and put on every aspect of my life. Aditi was wishing for something that seemed material, conquering enemies, victory in battle, the return of wealth and opulence. But the Lord makes the important point that she wants this in order to be able to worship him again with her sons, right? She wants all of their wealth so that they can perform their sacrifices and their worship of Lord Vishnu. And he says, the demons are favored by the Brahmanas right now. Technically, force will not work against them. I can't do anything. Yet, because I have been satisfied by the activities of your vow, O Goddess Aditi, I must find some means to favor you. For worship of me never goes in vain, but certainly gives the desired result according to what one deserves. I want this to be my prayer. O my Lord, if I have pleased you somehow, knowingly or unknowingly, through whatever vows I have taken, through the completion of whatever vows I have been able to perform, then please find some way to show your favor upon me, because I know that worship of you never goes in vain. I don't want to dictate how the Lord will show his favor upon me, but I just want to ask him to show his favor upon me. He knows everything that is within the heart, and you can satisfy all desires within the heart. Please shower your favor upon us all. The Supreme Lord continued, you have prayed to me and properly worshipped me by performing the great Payovrat ceremony for the sake of protecting your sons. Because of Kashyapa Muni's austerities, I shall agree to become your son and thus protect your other sons. Always thinking of me as being situated within the body of your husband, Kashyapa, go worship your husband who has been purified by his austerity. O lady, even if someone inquires, you should not disclose this fact to anyone. That which is very confidential is successful if kept secret. Shukadev Goswami said, after speaking in this way, the Supreme Personality of Godhead disappeared from that very spot. Aditi, having received the extremely valuable benediction that the Lord would appear as her son, considered herself very successful and with great devotion, she approached her husband. So this is the extent to which our devotional service can carry us. Becoming just a mom is the greatest devotional service. Becoming just a teacher is the greatest devotional service. Being just a friend can be the greatest devotional service. We, as a community, can perform the same kind of devotional services that Sita Thakurani and Malini Devi also performed by becoming mentors to the other younger community members, by helping, asking if our people need anything, just sincerely asking a friend, Lodi, how are you doing? And listening for the answer. Sachinandan Maharaj was giving a lecture once. He was saying that sometimes kindness can be the best devotional service, can be such a great devotional service. Just kindness. And again, I say just not to minimize the importance of the devotional service, but to show just how simple it can be. Just kindness. So this is the great fortune that we have in our lives. We have devotional service, and not just this devotional service is the only kind that you can do, but now Krishna says everything you do is service. As long as we have the proper mindset, as long as we have devotion in the heart, as long as we have the meditation that, oh Krishna, knowingly or unknowingly, willingly or unwillingly, I will do this to please you. You please guide me and shower your favor upon me, that somehow I can do something that catches your attention and gives pleasure to the hearts of your people. So kindness, as a community, this is our devotional service. This is how we take the lessons of Srimati Thakurani, Sita Thakurani's life, and we bring it into our own lives. Kindness, affection, whether through cooking, whether through inquiring, giving advice, giving help, just listening. Listening to someone can be such a great help, such a great solace to the heart. And in these times, and I feel like it's all times, but especially in these times, we need that solace. I feel like the need of the hours that we should listen to one another more and more and more. And then we can encourage each other with the pastimes, with the qualities, with the activities of our dear most best friend. And by doing so, we all get the benediction. We all get the blessing of his association. And we can get that association continuously. And once we get that association in devotional service, our lives really do become immortal. Our legacy becomes immortalized. Sri Krishna sends the opulence and the fame of devotional service to follow us all the rest of our days. So I thank you so much for being with me for another Ekadashi lecture. I look forward to being with all of you again. And I cannot wait to see what the next festival holds in store for all of us. Srimati Sita Thakurani ki jai. Aditi Devi ki jai. Shri Vaman Dev ki jai. Shri Radha Govind Dev ki jai. Shri Radha Murlidhara ki jai. Shri Gaura Chandra ki jai. Vaishnava Thakur ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Thank you so much, and I will see you all again soon. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everybody. Thank you for staying.
Hare Krishna, Angelica, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for sharing the screen.
Thank you. Thank you. I wish we could have some time for realizations, but
I know. But that's what was decided. It's always my preference to have questions and live interactive classes, but it is what it is.
Maybe we could request, since it's probably going to be posted on YouTube, that people can like write their comments.
Yeah, great idea. Great idea. I'll put that.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Have a wonderful day.
Can I not? Here.